YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and welcome to the Dolmens of Karnak, where we're going to be going over a replay battle today on, obviously, Total War Rome 2, if I didn't say it already. If I did, then enjoy the repetition. So I decided to take Macedon against Rome. Rome is definitely a superior faction in most regards versus Macedon. It's definitely got very superior infantry. I would say that from a skirmishing standpoint, the Macedonians could hold their own. From a cav standpoint, Macedon has more variety. Rome's is probably more cost-effective in general. It doesn't mean that it always wins, I'm just generalizing things here. So yeah, I've brought a cav-heavy army. On each flank I have one unit of Thessalian cav, supported with Aspis cav, so one melee, one shock. In reserve behind my infantry lines I have 2 units of companion cav, the shock variety, not the Aspis cav, and then I've got a Sarissa cav running the flank. I have 4 standard archers for skirmishers, 5 levy pikemen, and they're supported by a royal peltas for my general. I guess I could have used a Hellenic royal guard, but I know how tough it is to use pikes, and I just brought royal peltas because it's easier to use. Figured it could support these guys better, but against the Romans, royal peltas is actually kind of a crappy choice. Not really, but the thing is royal peltas are actually extremely cost ineffective versus Roman infantry, because Roman infantry has such high attack and standard stats. Royal Peltist has fantastic stats, it's a great unit, but its cost is far higher than a Roman unit, and its melee defense is lower, which is weird because this is an elite unit that's just a standard Roman unit, and it's got more melee defense. And then from an armor standpoint, these guys have 70 again, an elite unit, and then just a standard Roman infantry unit has more. So those are just my few gripes about Roman infantry. It's not a big deal because they're supposed to be infantry strong, so I'm not asking that it be changed or anything. I'm just saying that it makes elite units like the Royal Peltist kind of useless, just because they can get countered by Rome so easily. Not necessarily by all factions, but by Rome. Trust me, there's a number of units to which a Royal Peltist is a very large danger. In any case, let's take a look at the Roman army. He's got 8 units of legionnaires, or legionary cohorts here. And then he's got 2 units of Triarii, 1 on each flank. And then he's got 4 velites, 4 legionary cav, and a general and bodyguard. So yeah, that's his army. So I have a range advantage. My opponent did not bring Balearic slingers or Syrian archers, which if he had, he could easily win the skirmishing fight. But I brought a lot of cavalry just for that reason. Like, so see how much cav I have here? This is so that if my opponent had spent more money on skirmishers, that I would have enough cavalry that he wouldn't really be able to effectively protect them. So what I would have done, had he done that, is just charge my line forward and tried to quickly engage his infantry so that my cav could find an opening. But in this case, my opponent brought more infantry, and immediately he does the Roman thing. You know, he's going to split some infantry off, and he's going to come flank. Or at least present a flanking maneuver with him. And all the while I'm going to harass him and do an engagement with my archers. So it's going to play out pretty standard here the first, and then of course I keep my Sarissa cav at the ready in the back, you know, just looking for gaps, and just to make him have to keep looking at it. Again, my companion cav is going to stay in defense of my infantry. You cannot let pikes get outflanked, and so the idea behind my companion cav is that if an infantry unit starts to move around the flank, it's going to have to be unbraced, which means it would be a ripe target for my companion cav to countercharge. That's the idea. So that's why I've got them. We'll just see how it works. It's just an idea. So I wouldn't say that Macedon versus Rome is always a great choice, and then Thorax swordsmen are probably going to be an easier unit to use, although the Roman units will still kill them. They will definitely still kill them, and you will have spent more money on them. That's the main reason why I brought the pikes. Now watch here. My opponent splits up his infantry over here to try and flank me. This I actually hoped for, and you can see that I got a clean charge with my Aspis cav there. They're going to serve as the anvil here, basically. They're a strong cav unit with high attack, and so basically they're going to tie down these 2 Roman units, and then I'm going to swing around with the Thessalian cav and slam these guys from behind with a trample charge. So basically it's hammer and anvil tactics with cav only. And you can see that so far my guys have gotten a lot of kills, because remember, it's kind of in a slow motion, right? Let's hit play and see what happens. I've got to get this charge quickly because he's bringing legionary cav. And I don't want to disengage these Aspis cav. I want to destroy these Roman units. So there we go. I get the rear charge, and automatically we've got a waiver on that legionary cohort. But my opponent's going to keep reinforcing this fight over here. It's going to get uglier. In the meanwhile, he charged 1 unit forward. Not sure if that was an accident, while I continue to mow down his velites. I'm going to take away his skirmishing ability. I made a mistake with my Sarissa cav. I meant to swing it around into his velites. I don't know why I brought it in at all at the moment, to be honest, but it worked out. Doesn't matter. So yeah, we routed one legionary cohort, badly damaged another. My Aspis Cav is still killing like crazy. It's up to almost 100 kills now, even though my Thessalian Cav is getting beat down pretty hard by some Triarii and this legionary Cav that hasn't used its special ability yet. The Roman gets impatient, comes straight at me, and of course targets a bunch of his fire on my Royal Peltis. I got a last-second counter charge. I should have gotten a better charge. And my Royal Peltist has already been outnumbered. It'll do okay, but it's got 3 Roman units nearby it, so it's going to get killed. But my pikes are going to easily hold the rest of his infantry, and now it's time to get my Companion Cav into action, which I did one quick charge here to kill more of these legionary cohorts. And then I'm going to do, hopefully while the trample is still active, I'm going to get a second charge. Nope, it went inactive already. But here, this is a good solid charge. Roman infantry fixed against pikes, getting slammed by Companion Cav. So surely that'll make a difference. It did. I got a nice charge there. It forced him up into my pikes, and then my Cav got a bunch of kills too. So yeah, you can see that my general again getting cut down with very few kills. As I said earlier, Royal Peltists are horribly cost ineffective versus Romans. But here's my Companion Cav going into another good situation. His general and bodyguard's not really well suited to fight this, so I'm going to chase it down, which is going to take his general away. This Companion Cav is almost up to 200 kills now. And this Aspis Cav back here and this Thessalian Cav are killing his Legionary Cav. Again, the Aspis Companion Cav is going to be very good in that fight. And this one right here has certainly paid for itself with now 203 kills against both Roman infantry and cavalry. Extremely cost effective. I had to extricate that Companion Cav away from the fight, and then I ran another Hammer and Anvil charge right as my Royal Peltis unit routed, so it was still a clean rear charge against these legionary cohorts, and they're going to rout as well. And I'm trying to shoot a few of these Triarii in the back, still not going to be real effective. So I shattered the main Roman infantry line. He definitely should not have attacked my pikes head-on. It was a mistake, but you can see that as he went to outflank, my intention was to single him out right here, so I did, and I pincered him with my Cav and caused him massive losses right here. And so it definitely gave me an advantage that I badly needed. So up here my Aspis Cav's still just tanking it out. They use Draco, but Draco actually does not work on Aspis Cav because they don't have a spear, so there's no bonus versus cavalry. Aspis Cav just have a very high sword attack, which means that if they had a spear they'd be even better versus enemy Cav, but they're still quite good. I mean, look at the stats on it, 71 attack. That's really quite great. So, and then that rear charge from the Companion Cav is going to finish off these Legionary Cav. So now my opponent's only left with a few units, and again, look, here's an Unbraced Legionnaire, and it's going to die to this side charge from Shock Cav. You can see the momentum carries Shock Cav through infantry, kind of like elephants. And when they're obviously not near as big a momentum as elephants, so when the Shock Cav, or when the infantry unit isn't braced, that momentum's going to carry it further through your infantry, so that's why the bracing bonus is important. And my opponent's trying to chase me down with more Legionnaires here, and I'll just turn around and charge them as well. And then I'm going to get away from this remaining Cav fight. I'm not going to sit there and fight while his Triarii come in. He does start to catch up to my Companion Cav, though, because it's tired, and he uses Draco, which does affect my Companion Cav. So what I'm going to do is just bring in this Aspis Cav and replace the Companion Cav with it. So this is going to catch my opponent in a bad position. It's not where he wants to be. His Legionary Cav is going to die hardcore. So yep, at this point, the game's pretty much in my hands. My opponent made some pretty serious mistakes. I think he should have tried to outflank me on both flanks. But even if he had, I had my Aspis Cav there, and basically the idea behind them is that a Roman infantry unit does have to be afraid of them. Is it smart to just charge headlong into Roman infantry with Aspis Cav? No. But they're strong enough that if you're not careful, they will kill you. And then with all of the Shock Cav lingering around, there's lots of opportunities for painful rear charges. So I was trying to use Macedon in a way that would be more well suited to them, which involves a lot of Hammer and Anvil charges, obviously. Stuff that Alexander made famous. So yeah, my opponent continues to chase me with Triarii. They've been using Rapid Advance, so now they're going to be beyond exhausted. And I just have to move in the rest of my troops and finish things off, so I'll do so. So again, I think to play better here, my opponent should have only left a few infantry troops in the center just to keep me, like he could have even put his Triarii in the center with maybe one Legionnaire and tried to take all the rest of his troops around the flank. Again, I was going to make his work hard for him because I'm not going to just, let it, I had my cavalry there with the sole purpose of not just letting him go around my flank. this is one thing they could do. I mean, see how long it takes pikes to reform and actually drop their pikes. They get charged so easily. So if they could maybe make the pikes a little quicker on the reaction, and to be honest, they probably need a little more attack. 24 attack is ridiculous. Seriously, it's a big giant Sarissa. What makes you think that it's going to have such a low attack versus another weapon like a Gladius, a 2-foot-long stabbing sword? I'm pretty sure that a giant counterweighted spear can probably punch through just as well as a 2-foot stabbing sword. Now, granted, they're both used for two different things, but I'm just saying I've never understood why the weapon damage, at least, is so terrible on the pike units. I can understand if their melee attack's low. It may have something to do with the fact that the pikes present several attacks to one unit, so they may have dropped their melee attack to where they score fewer attacks to kind of counterbalance the fact that if it was high, they would just mow down enemy units like a mulcher. But it seems like their weapon damage should at least be higher, because it takes them too long to kill enemy units. That's one of the things that's been frustrating for me about pikes. But I'm not going to go too far into that, because I don't know what the solution is. I just wish that they would do something to make them a little better. There are situations right now in which they do pretty well, which mostly has to be a choke point situation. But again, nobody in their right mind is just going to march their troops into a choke point, so they're really only useful against the AI. Anyway, let's take a look at the after-battle statistics. Thessalian Cav not getting a lot of kills. I never see these guys get a ton of kills, usually, unless you get some really good rear charges. I didn't expect them to get a ton of kills. The kills came from my Companion Cav and my Aspis Companion Cav, which is where I expected more performance. Again, look at that Royal Peltist. I did let them get hit by a lot of Pilla, which is part of the reason they performed poorly. But still, just not a good unit to go head-to-head with even some of the most standard Roman infantry. Evocati cohort ruined these guys even worse. And the cost difference is just phenomenal. It's like almost 500 talents cheaper for Evocati cohort. So it's just a weird deal. In any case, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. It was an interesting battle for me. Haven't taken Macedon against Rome in a long time. It's definitely never going to be an easy battle if the Roman player plays it right, but it should be fun. And I say that. I mean, Macedon has other tools at its disposal. They have fast light cav like the Sarissa. They have good skirmishers. They have thorax swords. They have decent tools at their disposal. It's just that good cav like the Aspis cav are very expensive. They do have access to citizen cav, which is not bad for the price, but they're definitely a faction amongst the successor kingdom factions that is kind of weak. Egypt is stronger, Bactria is stronger, and the Seleucids are stronger, easily, all three of them. So it's kind of weird that the mother of the successor kingdoms is the weakest. Who knows? Whatever. It just so happens to be that way mostly because of elephants at this point. Elephants give those other factions a much more painful approach to most situations. But in any case, hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.